Sometimes it might seem like all Amtrak cars are kind of the same. There are some really cool locomotives, but once you've seen those, there's nothing really that interesting about the cars that follow. And sure, that might be true for some trains. They might be made up of generic consists where all the cars are the same as each other. But if you look long enough, you'll find Amtrak trains hauling a whole variety of special, out-of-the-ordinary cars. Take private cars, for example. You may have seen these before, brightly colored old train cars often attached to the back of Amtrak trains. These cars, often heritage cars dating back to the railroads before Amtrak, are privately owned, and these owners pay Amtrak an annual fee for the rights to have their cars hauled, and also pay per mile when they want their car moved from one place to another. This specific car might also look like a private car, but it's actually owned by the Federal Railroad Administration and works as an inspection car. Amtrak has a few of their own unique cars as well. Some are also inspection cars, and others are special lounges for dignitaries or anyone who coughs up the dough to ride them. And seeing any one of these can make the train that they're attached to just a little bit more interesting. But the train car we're discussing today is a little bit less rare than some of the trains I talked about earlier. There are 47 in total, and they're also a little bit more subtle. You might not notice it when it rolls by. Rail fans standing along the track might not freak out as much over it. Although I will say, if you ride in one, it's pretty cool. At least it was for us when we rode it. Last year, we took a trip on the Capital Limited, an Amtrak train that used to run between Washington, D.C. and Chicago. Today, this train is called the Floridian, having been extended to Miami, and it uses single-level cars. But back then, it used the double-deck Superliner cars. Normally, we would do a trip like this in coach, but we had placed a bid on a roomette, the lowest class of sleeper accommodation, and Amtrak accepted our bid, so we were excited, of course. Amtrak staff led us to our car, the front Superliner car before the baggage car and the locomotives. We got settled in our roomette, and when we were on our way, I looked around a little bit, and soon I realized that this was no ordinary Superliner car. It was a transdorm. A what? Transdorm is short for transition sleeper. It's a special type of Superliner car that is different from the other ones. First, let me explain how it's different, and then I'll talk about why it's different. The transition sleeper exclusively has roomettes on the top floor, no larger bedrooms. Half of them are for paying passengers like us, and the other half are for Amtrak crew. Some of the transdorm cars also have showers on the top floor, which is something that the other sleeper cars don't have. Ours had a shower on the top floor, but we still used the shower downstairs because it didn't share a space with a toilet, just felt cleaner. Downstairs, there's an accessible bedroom, but over on the front side, there's a crew lounge. Crew can take breaks here or store stuff. So why are they called transition sleepers? Well, let's talk about Superliners for a minute. Specifically, their height. Superliners are tall. Here's a typical European-sized double-decker. It's about 14 feet or 4.3 meters tall. These New Jersey Transit cars are also a similar height. Superliners are 16 feet or almost 5 meters tall. That might not sound like a huge difference, but it matters. For example, Superliners can't fit in some of the tunnels on the Northeast Corridor, which is why we don't really see them in this part of the country. On most double-deckers, the gangway, that's the part that lets you walk between two cars, is at a special middle level between the upper and lower deck. That level is usually at the same height as a single-level train car, which is why you can sometimes see single-level and double-deck cars in one consist. That doesn't work with Superliners. Because of their height, the gangways are on the top level. You cross between cars on the top floor. On the back of the transdorm, you do the same. But let's walk to the front, and you'll notice that there's a second staircase that leads down. It doesn't go to the vestibule, it goes to a narrow little hallway with one door facing the front. This door is locked, but it leads to the baggage car. And the baggage car, like most Amtrak trains, is single level. That's what the transition in transition sleeper means. They provide a safe way to go from Superliners into a single level car. And they have a unique design with a Superliner height gangway on one side and a regular height gangway on the other side. Without them, Cars of different heights would be isolated from each other. Checking to see if one gangway is higher than the other is the best way to tell whether the car is a transition sleeper or not from the outside, and they're usually found at the front of a consist. And that's all I really have to say on transdorms. I know that they're somehow a little bit controversial among Amtrak enthusiasts. Some people say that there's too much space for the crew, or that the horn is too loud because you're closer to the front. I will say I enjoyed my trip in one, although for the time being, I'll probably keep booking my tickets in coach. Maybe I'll get lucky enough for another upgrade someday. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please subscribe to Trains Are Awesome, and we'll see you next time.